Yes, sir. You already know what time it is. Welcome to another marvelous episode of Overreaction Offseason. I am the governor of college football, and with me is a guy who needs no introduction, hardest working guy in the business, the mayor of college football, also known as Nino Brown. Nino, what's happening?
I'm glad to be back, talking some college football with you, getting these off-season episodes in is nice because it seems as though it's the news circuit just never stops. There's always something for us degenerates here to talk about.
It's never ending, and me and Jalen was talking about that on a podcast we did earlier. Shameless plug, make sure you guys check out College Football Showdown. It's live every Monday and Thursday, 6 p.m. and whatever podcast platform you have. It's on there. We were saying, I was like, it feels like in comparison to last season, it's just so much to talk about. And I probably got a folder, probably about 7 or 8 college football websites. And I know you got some guys that you go to as well. So it's always stuff to talk about in the off season. I actually prefer talking college football in the off season than in season. If you can't talk in that season, you shouldn't be doing it.
Shots fired.
You shouldn't be. So it's been an interesting week in the world of football. We've seen a record-breaking 40 time at the NFL Combine. We certainly probably will reconsider the credential process after a few bizarre moments at the Combine podium. Nino, who are your biggest risers and fallers of the NFL Combine?
So I got 4 and 4. All right. So
okay.
I'm gonna go with the fallers first.
Okay.
And shout out Dean out in the chat, man. Miss you, homie. Can't wait to get you back in here. Talk shop with you, get you on that Debbie Dollins deal.
Miss my guy much. I know this is sidebar, but for some reason he can't see the messages in the chat, so we're gonna have to start a new one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So fallers, he's Tom Pettying it up, free falling for a while now. Kalen King, Penn State DB, had an absolutely terrible Senior Bowl. He ran the slowest DB time with 4.61. There's talks of him having a transition to being a safety now because of the speed, which means that his stock is going to drop if he has to do that. Everything that could have went wrong for him went wrong. And it just seems to be, since the end of the season, the last couple of games to now, it's just been a downward spiral for King. And hopefully, that pro day, he can kind of right the ship here. Another faller for me was a guy that I love. I just love the way he plays. Reminds me of like a, miniature Ed Reed, same school, Cameron Kitchens. I'm talking about transition to safety. He's a safety. He ran the slowest safety time at 4.62 the first one, and then 4.65 the second one. Yikes. That's not really the best. And then when you only have a 35-inch vertical, that means you got not much explosion there. For a guy at the safety position, he did, he was known as a big hitter in college, but I don't know if the NFL is going to transition, if he's going to be able to continue that. So that he's not the guy that's going to have to right the ship this pro day. I wouldn't say so much a faller, but maybe deflated the balloon, came back to reality a little bit with JJ McCarthy. I know a lot of people are all in first round. He's probably going to still be a first round pick. Because kid's got the talent, the possibility. We haven't seen, what he could be. The ceiling looks like it could be out of this world. And he showed the big arm in the combine. There was a lot of inaccurate throws, like not even really close to the receivers. So I feel as though that kind of just brought him back to where we should be. Hey, Dina, underestimate me, man. Yo, you running almost a 4.740. That's terrible. But he was shifty. He did do well in the other drills, but yeah, that's definitely gonna hurt. So that closes it out from no, actually it doesn't. The guy that we all love, Braylon Allen. Okay. Not running the 40 shuttle, any of those drills, that hurts tremendously because they needed to see speed, right? 6'1", 235, that was good. Like measurables look good there. But 32-inch vert and a 9.9 broad jump you got no explosion, my man. And that is a problem. You want to be a big guy, you know, you're not going to run the 40 and all that stuff. You need to have that, and he didn't have that. So the talks of him, you know, being a round 3 and a round 3 pick, he might fall into round 4 after that combine. So those are my fallers there. What are your thoughts on those guys?
I think you nailed it on the fallers. I thought you was gonna have one of my guys up there, a guy that I'm. Hey, listen, it's the hill that I'm willing to die on. I thought you were gonna have my guy Keon Coleman up there. I was nervous. That's why I was shaking my head a little bit. I was like, I know he's gonna say it. I know he's gonna say it. But he had an amazing RAS score though.
So the 40 wasn't great, right?
Mm-mm.
But the gauntlet and everything else, the speed in the gauntlet and how he ran and all the other drills, he did well in. So for me, I don't think that he was really a fall. I mean, people are gonna talk about his speed. I mean, yeah, I don't think the speed.
This is what we're talking about. when you talk about 40 times, that's it. That's what we talk about. That's really the difference of the in a 4-3 something in a 4-5.
I mean, I don't
that's
think
what it is.
that 40 times should affect his wherever he would be anyway. It doesn't for me anyway. My rises are gonna be Michael Penix. Okay. Not because the videos of him throwing in the hallway. Everybody can throw well in the hallway, but just the measurables and how he looked. The throws are crisp. The throws are like just on the money. 6'2", 216. He's got 10.5-inch hands. That ends up being top 10 overall ever at the combine. So like just
that's not what he measured in at the Senior Bowl though, is it? At that hand size? What he's on hand exercises?
Not stretching them out,
right?
Maybe he had tight grip that day. I don't know, but he also has an 81-inch wingspan. So my man just
wow, I did not know that.
So like those things, he looked good moving around. I get it. It was the Spandex Survivor Series. I understand all that. You know what I mean? There's no pads, nothing. But I think some of the questions people might have had, him showing off, flashing the big arm, having the big hands, big measurables. Those are the things that GMs and scouts can like. I think that's going to climb boards for him. Offensive tackle out of Georgia, Amos Mims. He's 340 pounds. He ran a 4.33 shuttle. Let me rephrase that. 340 pounds at a 4.33 shuttle, and he had like right around 5-second 40. Like what?
People don't realize how fast that is.
He might have put himself in the top 12, 15 pick. I mean, it's probably going to be 7 or 8 offensive tackles in his first round. He might that might have put him in the top 15. Another guy that I just think just constantly, he looked like a grown man among boys, and that's Brandon Fiske, the end out of Florida State.
Yeah.
I mean, just he ran the 40. You heard him say, "Oh yeah," like he knew, like he had that in the bag. Just like all the drills, he looks so explosive, and just the way he carries himself, dude. Like he's just. I think he's ready. I think he's underrated. I think he might have been underrated coming into it. I don't think he's as underrated anymore. You want to talk about underrated, and he was, overshadowed by your guy over here at Louisville and Jawar. But that would be Isaac Gorindo. I believe that's how you say his last name.
Yeah.
Ran the fastest 40, 4.33 40 for the running backs fastest anyway. And that wasn't what stuck out to me. He didn't
look that fast. Like, and because I watched a lot of Louisville this year.
24 miles an hour. He hit top speed in that 40. That ties him with Devin A-Chain and Keontae Mitchell, bro. And then that was fast. So people may not have watched film. That's going to make some people go back and watch the film.
Right.
Just that 40 time and then that speed. You know what it is? You can't teach speed. So you know the deal.
If you remember earlier in the season with Louisville, I'm like, yo, what's going on? I'm like, why is this other kid getting more carries than Jawar Jordan?
Now you know.
Now you're starting to see. You're starting to see why, man.
But yeah, that concludes my my rises. So 4-4. Shout out Moon Vibes in the chat. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, it's funny. I know you, man. You Mr. I don't take layups. Lad McConkey, and that a guy that you've been big on. And I want to say that you started this bandwagon. I'm 100% confident in saying that you got Chop Robinson, man. You're talking about him on OTC, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people may not know that, but like when you put the tweet out, been on this one for a while. Yes, you have been.
Yeah, he looks all of what people thought like Dallas Turner was. I mean, I'm not saying Dallas Turner isn't that, but he looks all. I mean, the speed, the explosiveness. The kid looks like he's chiseled out of stone. So like, I think this guy's. I can't wait to see where he lands because I think he's a year one. Just here we go.
Yeah. Quinyon Mitchell, man. What can't we say about that gentleman at this point, man?
Stop scouting the helmets, bro. That is perfect proof. Just stop scouting helmets. Actually scout the player and the talent.
I love it. So in other news, we definitely had to open up with that one. Rarely do I believe the NCAA makes a bold statement, but I believe they do in stating that they agree with the ruling and will no longer pursue NIL infractions. I think this is their way of saying this is what you all asked for. Be careful what you wish for. Talk to me, Nino.
I think it's 50% that, and 50% they just don't have an answer. You know what I'm saying? Like they've controlled what they can actually control. You know what I mean? So it's like, they have the pay for play that's under their control, right? And Baker's got his, directly paying the athletes for their quote unquote services, right? So he has control of that. But like they want to say that you can't get the money till you're there, right? Like you can't get the money, can't be to draw you in. But this is what's been going on before the hand.
It was
Baker was even anything to do with sports. It's been going on forever, and they can't figure it out, right? Like they couldn't figure it out with Rashada. Now they can't figure it out with Nico.
Rashada was a hot mess.
Right, exactly. They're just saying we can't figure it out. I'm gonna let you guys bury yourselves, and then in the end, you're gonna come running back to us and say, "What's the deal?" But I don't think that their proposal works. Like, they want to regulate how much per school, right? Well, how does why does say Miami of Ohio, affect Alabama's NIL money? Like Alabama makes money because they're Alabama. It's not
right.
You know what I'm saying? So like, what are they gonna do? Like Major League Baseball did? Like we're gonna take everybody's gonna get the total revenue and we're gonna split it amongst every team. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But you see what's happening right now with the Big Ten and the SEC. You see what they're doing?
Yeah,
that's gonna happen a lot faster.
It is
a lot faster if that's how they want to play this game.
I went from not believing to believing that they might what we say succeed from the union.
It's gonna be 24-24. That's what it's gonna be. It'll be 48 teams, and everybody will be smushed to one thing, and that's how they go. Hence the 14, hence the 16, 18 that we talked about, a week or two ago. The NIL, they just old money will continue to control the money, and they can't control the old money because those are the guys in the back channels. So they're just gonna let it eat each other up, and then when they need the help, come get us.
Yeah, I think if coaches are complaining about their schedule now, if they're complaining about how busy it is, and I know they're trying to move early signing day to make things a little bit more easier to deal with. At the end of the day, it's still gonna be dog days. If they thought it was difficult now, these schools who have those boosters and have all of these people that's really willing to put up money and they will essentially buy a national championship, good luck.
That's what I'm saying, but like back then, look at how long it took Reggie to get caught. Like, look at how long it took these people to get caught. The only people getting caught are the dumb MFers that are out there saying, "Hey, we messed up."
Right.
And what have I been saying to you since we started this shit? The guy who comes out and confesses to it, just saying that he's guilty.
Yeah.
And he's trying to avoid the punishment, but it ends up coming down the pipeline a lot harder. Ohio State's not out of the water here. Let's get real quick. Their little self-sanctioned shit, it's coming. Trust.
You think so?
Yeah. Tennessee self-sanctioned themselves. Self-sanctioned themselves with this NIL thing. Baby themselves. They said they sanctioned themselves.
Yeah, right. Slap on the wrist, essentially.
And then knew that this was going to, in the end, say, okay, well, we got enough people that are going to back us. Enough teams are going to say, no, we're with them, dude. Screw this shit. And when it started going, we're going to go to the legislate. We're going to go to the, to the higher up.
Right.
You know what? Eat yourselves up, dude. Eat yourselves up. But the problem is the only ones that are going to eat themselves up is the mediocrity in the middle because they don't got enough money. The Kings at the top are still going to be the Kings at the top because the money's always going to be there.
Yeah, things are certainly about to get messy. So, Nino, we got to have this discussion. Baker Mayfield topped ESPN list of best quarterbacks of the 2000s. It was a list of 80s, and he was ahead of some pretty notable names like Cam Newton, even though Cam Newton was a one-year wonder, essentially. Tim Tebow, Vince Young, and other. Nino, did Bill Connolly and ESPN get this right?
Well, I like to know the precedence on how he says the best college quarterback. Is it the best statistically? Well, then, yeah, you would have to give it to Baker Mayfield, but he played the longest. He was one of the only ones that played for 4 years, right? Like, so it's like, yes, he won the Heisman, and yes, he was the greatest walk-on ever to, pretty much playing college football because he came on 2 schools and got it done. Yes, I get that. But, not to piggyback off Cam Newton, but it was impact that these guys had, right? Like, I feel like the impact, like Robert Griffin III's impact, I feel to college football, to Baylor was a big impact than Baker was, because I mean, they've had that that happens. That's happened before him, and it continued to happen after him, right? Like Sam Bradford was before him, he got it done. Like Kyler Murray was after him, and they succeeded and they won Heisman's, and so to say that he's the best, I can't agree with that. I would have to, if the premise was on stats, well then yeah, maybe he was the best college football player, but not even all of them. Like I just went down a few. Manziel sticks out to me, right? Because Cam Newton can't, for me. Yes, it was probably one of the greatest single seasons ever in college football, but it was only 1 year.
It was only 1 year. Yep.
Johnny did it for 2. One was better than the other, obviously. You know what I'm saying? But it was almost 8,000 yards passing. You had 2,000 yards rushing. You beat Alabama when nobody ever thought that the Aggies could do anything like that. Like, he changed the culture, the landscape, everything over there. Whatever happened after that, it has nothing to do with what he produced at college football. I mean, his impact to the game, the fans, rappers were calling him out. Other athletes in basketball were calling him out. You know what I mean? Like LeBron James, he had celebrity friends, not even in sports. He was him. And then
Johnny Football was Johnny Football.
It was, and that's exactly, it was an era, right? And then, like I said, Cam was 1 year. Deshaun Watson, I'm not really a big fan of Watson, but I mean, 9,000 yards.
He produced
in 2 seasons, and then he had 2,000 yards rushing, 40 plus touchdowns. It's just difficult to say that Baker Mayfield is the best when there's so many guys, and he meets one box. He has the Heisman. He does check that box, right? So it's he's in the conversation. Yes, for me, no. I just can't even Vince Young, because that game goes down to me. That Rose Bowl game goes down to me as the best game ever in college football.
I agree.
That was kind of the game when I was a kid, and I'm like, oh, this is Reggie, and then Vince, and the way he came in and scored after Reggie scored that thing, and he sticks the ball out, and the only thing Baker Mayfield would win over all of those guys that they had in that list is longevity and an NFL career. Because in the NFL, he beats every one of them guys. Every single one of them. Robert Griffin, Mariota, Tebow, Cam. I would say probably Cam. I think Cam had a 2 or 3 year run, but it was more on the ground than it was through the air. I think he only had 1 season was through the air that was
that was his MVP season back in 2015. Yeah.
So I would say in a body of work, but I mean, yeah, I would probably have Baker somewhere in the middle. I don't even think he's the best Oklahoma QB. Right. I honestly, Kyler Murray is just a freak. You know what I'm saying? So. And he was mismanaged at Texas. Yeah, exactly. And Johnny says it he was just mismanaged at Texas A&M. He should have never even had to go to Oklahoma.
Right.
The Aggies should have been a program that was elite for years to come. It was set up to go that way, and the ball.
I think you nailed it about Kevin Sumlin. It was more about him than it was about the players.
I don't think Kevin Sumlin was the only one. We start to see that a lot.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the guy out in Arizona State. Don't go that route. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's such a difficult thing to do, especially when we don't know the criteria. The criteria matters so much. You know, you think about it from like you said, impact, winning matters. Tim Tebow, yes, wasn't by a long stretch of the imagination wasn't a prettiest thrower of the ball, but he won two of them things and he got a Heisman. So when we start looking at check boxes and the boxes that you have checked, when we look at criteria, Tim Tebow name has to be in the discussion.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Well, I mean,
But Deshaun Watson is a great one though. I like that one because he was he was in Clemson for what three years? He was a 3 year
but
starter.
it was 3 years started, but only 2 of them were elite. Tim Tebow has to be one. He has to be. It's like, what did he have? 100 touchdowns, right? You said 2 championships and a Heisman. Like, if you look at that body of work, I mean, you'd have to have Tebow 1. I would go Tebow 1, Manziel 2, Vince 3. Vince 3.
Yeah. I would have no problem with that list, even if you put Johnny Football first, just because of the impact. I couldn't.
A lot of people will disagree because of the swagger and the way he handles himself. So, like, I don't have a problem putting him in the middle, but like, you can't. He changed the game, bro. He let all these kids nowadays have that swag and have that juice that never really kind of existed then, you know.
I could only imagine Johnny Manziel in this era when you can get paid money on the table for real.
He'd have to have chauffeurs around and babysitters.
Yeah, it'd have been a lot of babysitter. I don't think there'd have been enough drugs in the state of Texas for him. So I want to ask you this question, one, because of your relationship with the family. So I want to see how you feel about this. DJU said it is national championship or bust in Tallahassee. Nino, how do you like Florida State odds to not only win the national championship, but also win the ACC?
I like the ACC odds. Okay, I do like the ACC odds. I think there's a lot of pressure under my guy Cade Klubnik and Clemson. I think
I agree.
You got to put up or shut up. But I'm hoping that Dabo lets some of the reins off and lets Garrett run that offense. And if that's the case, then it should be a different story. People that think that the 13-0 was a fluke, it's not a fluke. Mike Norwell is building something over there, and he's a legitimate coach. He's done it multiple stops, and he just continues to get better and better. Excuse me, they did lose a lot of talent, but they brought in a lot of talent sneakily and quietly under the radar. And what we have to remember is DJU has graduated. School's not a distraction no more. There's no having to get up early, go to practice, then go to class. I mean, he has classes has to take, but it's at a grad pace. It's not. Dina, I almost choked for a second right there. That's a bold. That's a bold one right there. NC State winning the ACC. I love it, but
they've been a tier 2 team in the conference for the last 4 or 5 years. It's just can they get to that next step? But
yeah, I mean, like I said, so DJU's gonna be focused. He's focused. He knows, like he's already telling you. I know this is my last shot, and I want to go out and bang. But like I said, now he's just focused on only football and football. Now they lost a lot of talent: Coleman, Wilson, Travis, Spence, and Verse, just to name a few guys. But they brought in Devontae Brown, safety out of Miami. They brought in Earl Little Jr., DB out of Alabama, right? And they have a lot of playmakers that they brought in. Jalen Brown from LSU, sneaking him in there. That was a nice little pickup that they got there. That kid's going to be a stud. Malik Benson, Roydell Williams out of Alabama, one wide receiver, one running back. And this is the kid for me. Okay, I think this is the sneaky play that a lot of people forgot about because he came from Indiana. That's Jalen Lucas. All right, I think that he's going to be RB1, and I think this kid is going to take off. I think it's going to be DJU's favorite little guy in this offense. I think because he's going to produce a lot of time for DJU because he's such a weapon where he can catch the ball, right? He's speedy enough where he's great in the run game, which, will help these other guys. And then you got the step-ups. There's a lot of guys that need to step up. And can they step up? Patrick Payton, can you be the new version of Jared Verse, right? Is that what's going to be? You came back, you hit the portal, you said, no, you know what? I'm going to come back. My guys all asked me to come back. Said, yo, carry this tradition. He came back. So I think he's primed and ready to go. Petro Cypress needs to do something. Okay. Since he came over from Florida, he really hasn't took that step in my eyes. And I think last year was kind of a step back. But it's Akeem Williams for me. This kid freshman this season, I was hoping that he'd get more playing time, but then you had Destin Hill, who took a little bit of those reps. I think we're going to see the ascension of Akeem Williams in this room, and I think DJU is going to have fun. A lot of young kids on this thing. He's the Elderman. he's the wisdom in this group. And yeah, I just national championship is going to be rough. I know it's a lot, but there's a lot of teams that people aren't really thinking about. And people forget about that team out in Ole Miss. I don't think they're giving. I don't think they're giving them enough
I'm high
credit.
on them this year, bro.
Yeah, so
They gonna be able to.
the big dogs are still there. I don't think Alabama's a big dog at all, but the other big
No.
dogs are still going to be there. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. So DJU, I think Alex Atkins' offense is a very fun offense. It is balanced. DJU should complete a lot of passes this year. Should be a lot of easy throws. That completion percentage has to be, if they got national championship aspirations, somewhere around that 66.5, 67%. And that will be by far one of his best years as far as completing them, Brock.
Well, he was 64, 65 this year, 66. He was up there.
What was he? Was he 66 at Oregon?
I believe, yeah, his completion percentage this season was. I wanted to say it was actually his best.
Yeah, I would agree it was his best.
It was. I'm sorry, it was 57. Last year was his first season was his best, 66.7.
It was 60. Okay, his first year
his Clemson was 66.7. This year,
how many? I don't think he started a lot of games though. That first year.
No, 9 games.
Okay, he did start. Okay, so yeah, if he's able to get like he did that freshman year, that 66, 67%, he's able to run a rock. They can definitely win the ACC. I don't doubt that at all.
Gotta keep upright and clean.
Yeah, that's gonna be a key. But can they win a national championship? Can they? I don't know. But if you win your conference, you'll get a bye, and anything can happen after that. But the key thing is first, like you said, win a conference, get that first round bye, and this 12-team playoff. Anything can happen after that. But you got to prove that you belong there and not do what you did against Georgia in this bowl game last year.
That was different. So that was just, there was a skeleton crew.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty by any stretch of the imagination. So spring ball is in the air. We actually had a spring game this past Saturday. I was like,
why? You right?
And Liberty had a spring game this past week. Camps are opening up soon around the nation. What possession battles are you paying most attention to?
I got 4.
Okay. I'm excited to hear them.
Auburn's QB department.
Oh yeah.
Peyton Thorne, I don't believe him. He plays scared. He's not a guy for me. I'm not a fan of him. But he did throw for 6,000 yards, 46 touchdowns, 21 interceptions. When he had Keon Coleman and Jake Reed, those guys are long gone. And when they were gone, we saw the 1,700 yards, 16 touchdowns, 10 picks. He did have 500 yards on the ground, but he had 6 games of under 60% completion. He had 3 games with 0 touchdowns. Like I said, he plays scared. He does have a loaded wide receiver room though this year. A lot of 5-star wide receivers coming in. Cam Coleman, right? So it's put up or shut up time. I think his leash is going to be very, very short. I don't even know if he's going to be the starter. I think my guy is going to win this job, but he may have that short leash 1 or 2 games. My guy Walter White, QB 8 in the 2024 class. I guess I like these guys that get these big howitzers, long throws, like Josh Allen types, Will Levis type players. That's what Walter White is. He can throw the ball deep downfield. He's mobile. He can throw off platform, and he doesn't play scared. He's not afraid of anything out there. He's not afraid of taking a hit and delivering it downfield. And that's why I think he could give my guy White could give Payne Thorne a run for his money in this camp battle. Now, another QB battle that I'm talking about and I'm interested in because I like J.J. Cole. It's on Iowa State, right? J.J. Cole or Rocco Beck? Who is it going to be? Beck got thrown into the fire when homeboy got bopped for gambling, right?
Gambling, right?
Yeah, homeboy got bopped for gambling. Here comes Beck. All right, you're going to be the guy, Rocco. Hey, not bad. Almost 63%, 3,000 yards, 23 to 8 touchdown interception ratio. I mean, Cole's a 4-star, recruit. He was QB 10 in the class. He's a giant. He's 6'7", 230 pounds. My guy D now in the chat, he knows the deal, bro. It's Cole. I believe it's Cole. A lot of people are saying Rocco. We'll have to wait and see. But I just think, he has it. He's got the better athleticism. I think he's got the better arm. I'm not a big fan of Rocco himself, but he did manage to carry, Iowa State last year. So it'll be interesting to see. I know this is one that you're probably going to be interested in. I just think this kid screams, wide receiver one. But Texas Tech wide receiver room, Micah Hudson, Josh Kelly, Caleb Douglas. I want to see who's going to emerge. Obviously, Brantley, your guy John Brantley, moved on to Boston College. Thank you very much. I will accept that any day of the week. But Micah Hudson is a legitimate 5-star wide receiver. He is an alpha, vertical field stretcher. He's got good bursts, good hands, run after the catch. He's like good body control. He's literally a pretzel. He can twist his body in midair and catch any pass around him. His catch radius is great. So, I love Micah Hudson. I think this is primed him to take over. They brought in some guys, though. Caleb Douglas, former 3-star from Florida, never really panned out over there. Only has 300 yards, 25 receptions. And then they brought in Josh Kelly, who's, had a year finally. He kind of flashed a little bit at Fresno, had around 800 yards, transferred over to Wazoo, Washington State. 923 yards, 61 receptions, 8 touchdowns, was the big play guy, 15 yards per catch with Cam Ward. Now, we don't have Cam Ward, right? The QB room is going to be another one that you're going to want to watch because it could be taken over by another true freshman, Will Hammond, who I think has a howitzer out there. And he could be the dude. We'll have to wait and see what's going on there. But I'm more interested in the wide receiver room. I think Micah Hudson could be a day one starter off the rip. And then another wide receiver room I'm interested in because I'm partial to would be South Carolina Gamecocks wide receiver room. Is the 5-star speedster freak of nature Nicholas Hobble going to take over this room? Or will Coastal Carolina transfer Jared Brown, who I believe is going to be, Xavier Leggette's replacement in the slot, who I always said was better than Sam Pickney in my eyes over at Coastal, 6'4", 190. He's had 108 receptions, 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons. But he's also had 35 attempts on the ground for 455 yards. So he's a legitimate offensive multi-tool weapon on a team that's going to need weapons, going to be led by Lenore Sellers, who is an inexperienced, redshirt freshman QB. So they're going to want the speedster, the guy who plays a slot, to get some reps here. Or it could be Gage Laverton, the Miami of Ohio guy who came on last year and kind of had these big explosive plays for Miami of Ohio. And then they have the kid, another young 4-star freshman coming in this class, Mazio Bennett, right, out of Greenville, South Carolina, 6 foot, 180 pounds, athlete, right, great body control, natural playmaker, has good release at the line of scrimmage. This room is wide open. I mean, they lost everything. Juice Wells is gone. He's at Old Miss. Old Miss. Old Miss. Legette's going to the NFL. Shout out to Leggett. Yes, he's shorter than everybody thought, but a man at that size and has that speed, I don't think his draft stock is going to drop too much. He proved that in the 40 and in those drills. He looked really good. But yeah, this wide receiver room is wide open. There's a lot of people coming in transfers, a lot of young kids. I'm interested to see if Harbour and Mazio Bennett can work their way into starting this year for the Gamecocks.
And if you guys love South Carolina Gamecock football, make sure you all check out Garnett Roos with my guy Nino and Brian Bosarge. They break down Gamecock football better than anybody. And of course, I'm impartial because they're on CFB Nation, but it's beautiful to watch. I guess the competition I'm most interested in is the one in College Park, Maryland, one that I'm probably going to go see their spring game. It's MJ Morris and Billy Edwards Jr. You heard me raving about Billy Edwards Jr. After spring game last year, but he didn't look too good in the bowl game that they won. They were able to win and beat Auburn, but he didn't look good at all. So I don't know who you think will win, MJ Morris or Billy Edwards Jr.
Come on. You know I'm an MJ.
Yeah, I know you're going with Morris.
And listen, you go to bed with a ginger, you wake up with gingerbread. That's my take.
Hey, man, this has been a fun episode. You guys can catch us here each and every Monday. If you don't know, we got a plethora of team shows coming your way. Just stay tuned. There's so much content on this platform. If you like Debbie, you need to check out Debbie Darlings. It's always like to say there are no moral victories in a sport that is surviving and advance. That's why college football, for now, has the greatest regular season. If they add all these teams to the playoff, they won't. And until next time, y'all already know what it is. 1.